Hello everyone, we have Canisa and Ruke here from patch notes 1.100. They are a Hypogean hero. They are also strength based, and the class they have is a tank, and their primary role is also a tank. So let's start with their skills. I'm going to start by looking at their ultimate skill called Lightning Lock. This is a passive. Canisa and Ruke launch normal attacks respectively. When dealt actively, they jump to where enemies are the densest, and each inflicts damage equal to 250% and 310% of their respective attack rating on the enemies. Enemies hit by both attacks will suffer a chain effect for 12 seconds. Canisa and Ruke will distribute 30% of the direct damage they receive evenly among the chained enemies. The distributed damage will not exceed 430% of Canisa and Ruke's attack rating. Now, level 2 damage values are respectively increased to 270% and 330% attack rating damage, and level 3 distributes 35% of the direct damage they receive evenly among the chained enemies. The distributed damage will not exceed 460% of Canisa and Ruke's attack rating. The second ability we have here is Howl of Fury. Canisa and Ruke let out a howl that knocks back surrounding enemies, deals damage equal to 280% of their attack rating, and stuns the enemies for 2 seconds. Meanwhile, they gain a shield that lasts for 8 seconds, with the shield value being equal to 25% of their max health. Level 2 increases shield value to 30%. Level 3 increases shield value to 35%, and then level 4 enemies are stunned for 3 seconds. That sounds very cool. They let a howl and it knocks the enemies back and also stuns them here as well, so having some crowd control, that's very nice. The third skill, Wound Reversal. This is a passive. At the beginning of a battle, Canisa and Ruke's max health drops by 30%. On receiving their first fatal damage, they will be immune to all damage and control effects for 2.5 seconds, restore their full health, and increase their max health by 30%. They will also buff up their physical resist by 10 points or magic resist by 20 points according to the proportions of the types of damage previously suffered until the end of the battle. Level 2 increases physical resist by 15 points or magic resist by 30 points. Level 3 increases duration of immune effects to 3.5 seconds. And then we have the first Engraving skill, increases Canisa and Ruke's attack and defense ratings by 2.5% up to 45%. Per second before they receive their first fatal damage until the end of the battle. This one also sounds pretty good. Their max health drops by 30%, but when they receive fatal damage, they will be immune for 2.5 seconds. They will restore their full health, and then it'll increase their max health by 30%. So they'll gain even more health by the end of this skill here. And also they will they'll also get buffed up here. Their physical resist or magic resist will be buffed up. So that sounds like a pretty good skill. And we have the final skill, Cage of Fire. Canisa and Ruke forges a flaming cage around themselves that lasts for 7 seconds. Every 1 second, they inflict damage equal to 140% of their attack rating on enemies within the cage, and reduce their defense ratings by 6% up to 18% for 3 seconds. Enemies moving to the edge of the cage are regularly struck back to the center and stunned for 1.5 seconds. Level 2 damage is increased 160% attack rating. Level 3 drags nearby enemies into a cage of fire. And level 4, the second Engraving skill, reduces enemies' defense rating by 12% up to 36% for 3 seconds. So yeah, this sounds like a very unique skill, forming a cage of fire around themselves, and when enemies are in the cage of fire, they'll be inflict damage every 1 second, so 140% damage per second. That's quite a bit of damage per second. Also reducing their defense ratings, and when they try to go to the outside of the cage, they're brought back to the center of the cage. And also with this level 3, drags nearby enemies into a cage of fire. So even if enemies are not in the cage of fire, if they're near the cage of fire, they will be brought into it, so allowing Canisa and Ruke to do even more damage to the enemies outside of the cage of fire. So that ability also sounds very good. Let's look at the signature item, see what the signature item has. Signature item skill, Chain Reach. When you unlock this signature item, this skill reduces 15% of damage received by Canisa and Ruke from enemies within a cage of fire or suffering from a chain effect. The amount of damage distributed remains unaffected. Plus 10 signature item distributes direct damage received by Canisa and Ruke evenly among all chained enemies, with each absorbing at least 40% of the distributed damage. The plus 20, this skill reduces 30% of damage received by Canisa and Ruke from enemies within a cage of fire or suffering from chain effects. This amount of damage distributed remains unaffected. And the plus 30 signature item, Hollow Fury and Cage of Fire also inflict chain effects on enemies, but each skill can only chain up to one enemy at once. So this signature item sounds pretty good. Reduces 15% of damage that Canisa and Ruke receive from enemies within a cage of fire or suffering from chain effect. So it only applies to those two. And also plus 20 reduces 30% of damage received by Canisa and Ruke from enemies. And yeah, this signature item sounds pretty good. Let's look at the exclusive furniture. Okay, for 3/3, Ruke heals himself with 35% of the attack damage he causes, but not exceeding 300% of his attack rating. So Ruke is just healing himself, which makes me wonder does Canisa and Ruke have different health bars, because it heals himself, it doesn't heal both Canisa and Ruke. And we have the 9 of 9. Each attack by Canisa reduces a hit enemy's energy by 160 points. So every time Canisa does a hit to an enemy, reduces their energy by 160 points. That 9 of 9 sounds very powerful. If you can reduce an enemy's energy every time you hit them, that's very good. And overall, this furniture sounds pretty good. Okay, let's move on to the Arena of Trials. The Arena of Trials has not started yet, so we just have the Arena Guardian and the wooden dummy. I'm going to start off by looking at the wooden dummy first. I like to start off by looking at the wooden dummy just to see their ability. Go ahead and reduce the speed. And that looks like the Cage of Fire. That looks very good. It brought the enemies into the Cage of Fire. Yeah, and there's his ultimate ability, just jumping onto the most densely packed enemies, dealing a lot of damage to them, killed them all. And yeah, the Cage of Fire bringing the enemies towards the center of it when they're on the outside, and also when they're nearby. That enemy right there was not even in the Cage of Fire, and they were just brought into the center of it. Yeah, and they get dealt even more damage in the Cage of Fire. Yeah, that looks very good. I can see their health bar just drop considerably. It's a noticeable difference with these heroes here, with these enemies. It drops their health by a noticeable amount. And that overall Canisa and Ruke, they look very good so far, but it's just gonna have to take some testing. Let's look at the Arena Guardians, see which heroes they give us for this. Okay, as always, we have Canisa and Ruke. We have Frampton. I think I'm gonna put Frampton in here to get that faction bonus. Let's go with Wilders. Let's go with Laika, Raku, and a Star. And a Star should do a lot of damage and also a lot of healing for this team. Let's go ahead and see how well this team does. And yeah, I'm not looking to really win or lose this battle. I'm just looking to see the statistics at the end to see how well Canisa and Ruke do. And there's the Cage of Fire already summoned at the very beginning of the battle. Not even 10 seconds in, the Cage of Fire is already summoned. And there goes a Star doing her healing, saving both Frampton and Canisa and Ruke. Looks like we just had Thane left. There we go. Those three survived. Let's go ahead and see the damage here. Raku doing a lot of damage. Raku died very quickly. Raku does a lot of damage, but Canisa and Ruke, not bad damage at all. Even though they're tanking heroes. Remember that they're tanking heroes, but they're still doing a lot of damage. Tanks normally don't do a lot of damage in these Arena Guardians. But overall they're looking pretty good. It's gonna take some testing. I feel like definitely gonna take some testing to find out if they're gonna have a place in AFK Arena. Hey, if you made it this far into the video and haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe. And if you want to know what else is coming in patch notes 1.100, check out this video over here. And thanks for watching.